for each of these players. It's a really hard league to get into and to be drafted and at least get the opportunity. We feel very grateful that we're in a position to be a conduit and a vessel, hopefully to, them living out their dreams. So specifically with Ray, like it's, who we circled and have watched closely all 4 years at Tennessee. And you never know on draft night if the player you've had circled the whole time, you're going to have the opportunity to draft. But we are excited that that's how it worked out. We've prioritized length and versatility and being able to impact the game, playing multiple positions on each side of the basketball this entire offseason. And, Ray is really, really a player that we think going forward can help us in that regard. Her shooting, her size, and being able to also handle the basketball with that type of length is a positive thing. And then defensively as well, being able to guard multiple positions. And then I think with Kiana, we felt like was an underrated player in terms of her skill set and what she's capable of doing. Great shot mechanics and ability to knock the perimeter shot down. But I think a better ball handler and decision maker than we assume she is because she played off the ball a lot at Louisville. But has point guard play in her background and has played that position before. And we liked her ability to do some things with the basketball in addition to being able to shoot it. So, we feel great about those two players and, but also Olivia and Amy as well. We think all four of our players, will give us the ability to prepare for our season at a high level. Olivia having played at UConn for 4 years and played in 4 Final Fours, that's special. Played a lot of high level games against the best players in the country. So we're excited to have her size, her length, the way UConn plays offensively, which has a lot of continuity. Big players that are comfortable playing at the elbows and facing the basket are important to us. And then Amy's ability to shoot the basketball. You don't find those very often with how quick her release is. And so we're just excited and hopefully they are as well. And we'll get a chance to talk to them and get to know them here in the coming weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rashawn. We'll go to Sabrina Merchant with SB Nation.
Hey, Coach, congrats on the draft.
Thanks, Sabrina.
I'm curious, with a player like Ray, how challenging is it to evaluate someone who has had an injury, with such a quick turnaround between college and the draft? Like, how comfortable do you feel about her, being ready to go for this season? And then was it helpful to have Jasmine Walker around as someone who had competed in the SEC to give you some intel on her?
Yeah, no, I think with Ray, what was important for us, and we feel like with all of these players, having the ability to see them compete over 4 years or maybe 5 and in some situations 6 with the COVID 0 year, that we'd seen them enough that even in a year, with this being Ray's senior year, even in a year where an injury or there's some type of setback in this 1 year, that overall they still are the player we've seen over the last 4, 5, 6 years. And so we felt like Ray, has an opportunity and even showed as the season wound down at the NCAA tournament that she'd be able to get back to that level of ability and production as she continues to get better, get stronger, and get healthy. With the way our roster is constructed right now and what our plans are going forward, she doesn't have to come in and carry a program, the way she had to this year, especially after one of her teammates went down with an injury and that increased Ray's usage and workload. So we're confident that she's going to be able to get back to a great place in terms of health and be a contributor for us this year, as well as for years to come. we obviously watched Jasmine as well for many years, and felt the same way about her. And they've played against each other, they've competed against each other. But we didn't really try to, put Jasmine in a position where she needed to give us too much information, because there are going to be times where they're matched up against each other and competing hard. So, but knowing Jasmine, she's happy that another, FTC alum is joining our team, and I think they'll be able to share some fun stories from when they competed against each other in college.
Thanks, Derek.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sabrina. We'll go to John W. Davis with Southern California News Group.
Hey, what's going on, Coach Rich? How you doing?
I'm good, John. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for asking. So I wanted to talk to you about this. You're drafting some high-level players who you feel can compete for a roster spot, but there's only so many.
Mhm.
And realistically, all of these players you drafted are not going to make this roster. So with that said, what does a player have to do to show you that they deserve one of these coveted 12 spots?
I think, all players can do is come in and be themselves, and leave everything they have on the floor for their teammates. Not even really, for me specifically, it really is about their teammates, their peers, the women that they're going to be going to battle with on a nightly basis. This is a hard league to get into, regardless of what pick number you're drafted. I think on the, even on the draft presentation tonight, almost 45% of these players that get drafted are not necessarily going to make a team or play this season. Maybe they'll play in the WNBA at some point. But when you only have 144 players in the world that are going to suit up for teams each season, with the exception of injuries and certain things that teams are allowed to do, it's just not easy. So that, we're not immune to that difficulty in terms of deciding which 12 players are going to be able to make our team and be on our roster this year. But we've done everything we can from a team perspective to make sure at least there's going to be one more job than most teams in terms of being able to carry 12 players. And that was a big part of our roster cap planning and salary cap planning, going into free agency, and just as we thought about our team and anticipating that this draft would allow us to draft multiple high quality players in addition to the players we already have. It was going to be important to have that additional roster spot to be able to maintain a relationship with a player that we feel like can help us, not just now, but maybe going forward as well.
Go to David Yapkowitz with the next.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
I'm good, David. How you doing, man?
Good to see you with I kind of had like a two-part question here. Amy Atwell, she's a player that I covered the past couple years with Hawaii in the Big West. She had mentioned to me right before the NCAA tournament that, she always figured that, after college, she was going to go play pro home in Australia, but that this season in particular, because of the year she had, the WNBA really became kind of a focus for her. So I'm just kind of curious as to, how long had she kind of been on your radar a bit? And then secondly, again, you mentioned it before, really tough league to break into, and with her being the 27th pick, just how do you kind of see that shaping up in training camp in terms of, what she can realistically, contribute to the team?
Yeah, no, I can relate to that experience in terms of what you're saying that Amy described to you, and I've had similar conversations with other, players that were either in the draft tonight or in conversations before. That was my experience, and so I fully understand, how for some players, maybe the dream arises a little later in the process, but it's here now. And so she's earned the opportunity to have a chance and come in and prove that she's capable. And, in this league, sometimes that's still not enough, right? Just due to roster construction, the limited roster spots. You may come in and have a great training camp and still not be on that 12-player roster. But that doesn't mean you don't go out and still, leave everything out there. And that's what Amy, will do, we believe, and has to do, just like we expect all of our players to do so. Like we're not going to explain how special and unique and rare the opportunity is just to fight for a 12 player spot on a team in this league. Like that's not something anybody should take for granted. Even our players that have guarantees on their contracts. Like you should not come to training camp with that mindset. So we're excited for Amy and all of our players because it's just a really, really hard position just to get into. And, we're thankful to play our part in trying to help create these opportunities.
David, did you have one more?
No, I'm good. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks, David.
We'll go to Tugni Nguyen with the LA Times.
Hey, Derek, good to see you. Congratulations on a successful draft.
Thank you.
Obviously, the turnaround between the NCAA tournament and tonight is very fast, and you do your due diligence over years of scouting. But how many personal conversations do you get to have with these prospects before, just to get to know them on a personal level? And how hard is that, not being able to maybe do as much personal interviewing, getting to know them on a personal level, which I know is important to you in like free agency interviews and stuff? So not having some of those personal relationships going into the draft, how hard is it to make that decision if you want to invest a draft pick in this person?
Yeah, I think I do believe it is a challenge, with not just getting to know, the player in terms of that personal interview aspect, over the phone or, virtually via Zoom. But also a certain level of in-person contact that, has been challenging, almost my entire time here, just, due to the pandemic, unfortunately. So yeah, it does present some challenges. I think in the WNBA, because it's already really difficult for players to make teams, and the investment structure is different, right? And on the men's side in the NBA, for players drafted, there'll be a point where a contract is signed and a good portion of that contract, may be guaranteed fully, depending on what the relationship or the agreement is. And so therefore you're starting a partnership right from day one with that player, their agent, that you're making that investment in him for, a year, 2, 3, 4 years, depending on the contract structure. And so I think those are all things that over time, as the league continues to grow and we all continue to do our part, how we go through this evaluation process, how we spend the time deciding on which players, like you said, deserve the opportunity. As the investment level raises, I think the process will also intensify and raise as well. So we just try to do the best we can. I also think, fortunately for us on the women's side, there are just very few of these women that are trying to waste these opportunities. So oftentimes there is very little concern that there are going to be reasons that you don't know as to why she doesn't belong here. Some of it is more so not in her control, injury history and those kind of things that sometimes make it harder. But in terms of quality of the character, the integrity of who these women are, they're already special and unique in that regard, and they don't take these things for granted. So I'm pleased that, just those are not things we have to spend a lot of time trying to find out about our players.
Thanks to me. We'll go to Jackie Ray with Nightcast Media.
Hey, Coach, how are you doing?
I'm good, Jackie. How are you?
Good, thanks. Going into today's draft, you had a lot of guards and then you maintained that. You kind of were draft guard heavy in this draft. What was the thought process in continuing to build up your guards with these draft picks?
Yeah, I think for us, it was really important to add players that have guard skills, as you're mentioning, but also have a level of length and height and versatility in their ability so that offensively at times, they can do guard-like things, but defensively, they also can defend multiple positions. And as we look at different lineups, different ways that we want to be able to play against our opponents, we wanted to have that type of versatility in our training camp roster, and that we felt like that would give us the best chance to evaluate, the best 12 players to go into the season with. So that was really the thinking tonight. We value, Taya, Jordan, Arella, Kennedy, Brittany Sykes, who does a lot of wing-like things, but has guard, like skill and size. Lexi Brown, who's a guard, but has good size. Like we felt like tonight adding Ray, adding Kiana doesn't disrupt that, doesn't change how we feel about the players we already have relationships with. But it'll just continue to give us the opportunity to look at the different ways that we're going to want to play and cause problems for our opponents.
Thank you. We'll go to Maggie Benoni with Hearst Connecticut Media.
Hi, Coach. I was just curious what impresses you most about Olivia Nelson-Ododa, and where would you like to see her biggest improvement or area for growth, especially with training camp coming up these next couple weeks?
Yeah, I mean, I think with Olivia, like it's the consistency that she's shown throughout her career in terms of getting better each year. When you play at a high level program, the way she has over the last 4 years, gone to 4 consecutive Final Fours, she's played a lot of basketball over the last 4 years. I mean, you think about the amount of games that UConn has played, into the mid 30s, maybe a couple more. She's played 100 and almost 40 basketball games, maybe. Over the last 4 years. And so, we just feel like at the high level of competition she's played at, and then her ability to play within a team system in terms of the way UConn plays offensively, being comfortable, being surrounded by other great players at the collegiate level, offensively, her ability to play, with the basketball above the free throw line extended and being a good passer, being able to see the guards and wings that she's played with, understanding where to put the basketball, in her teammates' hands where they have an opportunity to be successful. And then defensively, obviously with her length, her ability to challenge and block shots, and then finish possessions with rebounds. Those are all positive things. But I think what stands out the most is just her high character and the type of person she is. It's all about winning. And, that's what we want to continue to build here in LA. Everybody can't, be the star. Everybody can't be the face of everything. But players that understand how to play their role and still value who they are, and that still have an important place in our success. So we feel like Olivia ranked high and checked a lot of boxes, and we're really excited to have her join our team here over the next week or so and get training camp started.
Appreciate the great turnout. We'll have time for 2 more. Thank you, everyone, for joining. We'll go to Jeff Newholm at WNBA Lead.
Hey, Coach, I was wondering, as the Sparks look to return to their past postseason glory, how much of an impact NCAA tournament success had on your selections today, considering Kiana and Olivia both made it all the way to the Final Four?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great question. Maybe it's kind of baked into, our systems a little bit because we get to see those players, more often, but we definitely don't go into the draft with that assumption leading our decision making. A lot of the scenarios that we make decisions on are a lot of it is based on the players that are still available, which is tied to the decision that other teams are making. And so, I don't think it's an accident, right, that the players that play on some of the best teams in the country that we do feel confident are accustomed to not just playing on the big stage, but being a part of a team, being a part of something bigger than themselves. Players that aren't as focused on maybe their individual abilities and talents and skills, but just wanting to be a part of a great team. I do appreciate, what you're saying and what you're asking. My hope is that, we're not allowing that to dictate our decision making. And like I said, we don't think of it that way. But I think for me, and what I would message to other, young people as well and players is like, winning does help. And that's something that's always been important to me. And, maybe it's, why we've gravitated towards certain players this year or during my time here, but I don't want that to devalue or disregard players that don't play at these programs, that don't make it to the Final Four. They're just as deserving and capable of playing in this league as well. It's just that's the way it worked out for us this year.
Thanks. Last question will go to Rachel Galligan with Just Women's Sports.
Hey, Coach, congratulations on a great draft night. I just want to
Thank you.
talk about Rae Burrell. She was one of the top wings in this draft class. How do you see her fitting offensively and defensively into your system with kind of a more modern style of game?
Yeah, I mean, we racked our brains for hours, trying to figure out all the different kind of our own mock draft exercises and things that we went through, all the scenarios that would hopefully allow us to be able to draft Rae at number 9. And there were a lot of hours where we didn't see it possible. And so, having this opportunity to draft her tonight, just very excited, very thankful. Again, the versatility that she possesses as a wing player that, even when you listen to her interview tonight after she was drafted, she sees herself as a guard, and she does have those type of guard skills. And we just feel that that's important to the way we want to play offensively. Everybody knows we had to get better on that end of the floor. I have to do a better job, but having players like Rae that helps you to do a better job as a coach. And so we love the versatility she possesses on the offensive end in terms of shooting the basketball and being able to do some things off the dribble, getting to the spots that she likes to get her shot off, but also the defensive versatility and length that we feel like will be impactful to the way we want to defend and some of the things we want to do on that end. That although we've been good defensively over the last few seasons, we want to continue to get better. And we think that Rae can really help us on that side of the court as well. And so we're just looking forward to working with her, welcoming her to LA, and just helping her get better. In the WNBA, it's really easy to, we all think about just this year because it's so tough and it's a 36-game schedule, and one game takes you from in to out. But Rae is also a player that we hope to have a really long career, and we want to manage her development and the way we bring her along in the right way. So just overall excited, thankful that we're going to get her to be a part of LA Sparks, our family, and what we're building here. And we see a bright future for her. We hope we can help her execute on it.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. We'll send out a link to tonight's press conference, and the number 9 pick, Rae Burrell, will be available for media tomorrow. We will send out information on that. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.